Krongard, the former executive director of the CIA, just happened to be the manager of Deutsche Bank, and so the profiteers from 911 were not Osama bin Laden or his band of U.S.-trained Arabs. They were blue-chip Israeli, U.S. and British businessmen. Within the first week, the 911 producers sucked up $40 billion in box office profits from U.S. taxpayers who were hypnotized, terrorized, and traumatized by the infinite reruns. 8:13 a.m. Controllers temporarily lost radar contact with American Airlines Flight 11 and reported a suspected hijacking, even though Andrews Air Force Base is only 10 minutes from Washington. Emergency response fighter jets took close to an hour instead of the typical 15 minutes to scramble and begin searching for the hijacked planes. By then, it was too late. The facts surrounding the events of 9/11 point to a cover-up, like the fact that the Bush administration ignored all of the advance warnings of the 9/11 attacks, warnings from FBI agents like Colleen Rowley and from the famous Phoenix Memo were not only ignored, they were suppressed. FBI Deputy Director John P. O'Neill quit his job when his investigation of Osama bin Laden was blocked, according to a September 24 Newsweek article. Top Pentagon officials canceled their travel plans for 911 because of security concerns, while the American public were sitting ducks. Two Muslims accused of the 911 hijackings took their flight training at Rudy Decker's Huffman Aviation School in Florida. Rudy Deckers is linked to the CIA and drug smuggling through Carrie Bear and Brittany Aviation, which shared the same small Venice airport with Deckers. 9:55 a.m., President George W. Bush took off in Air Force One with no escort or protection from fighter jets and circled around for the next hour. Why was the president's plane airborne and unescorted for an entire hour while hijacked planes were roaming the skies? The inexperienced hijacker pilots, who took only a simulated flying course, reportedly flew the third hijacked plane, Flight 77, into a Top Gun 270-degree turn bypass, the offices of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and crashed into an insignificant part of the Pentagon that was under renovation. Emergency response. Air Force fighter jets were finally airborne when a fourth hijacked plane, Flight 93, crashed into a field in Pennsylvania at 10:06 a.m. The media reported that passengers overpowered the hijackers, but nearby residents saw U.S. fighter jets overhead and gave eyewitness reports. Here is the one-year anniversary live broadcast of the first eyewitness on scene. How could Mohammed Atta's passport survive the fireball explosion that supposedly cremated him? Fly out of his pocket, fly out of the incinerated plane, fluttered to the ground into 2 feet of debris, and end up in readable condition in the hands of investigators, all within 48 hours. Why did 19 Muslim men even need passports on domestic flights? How were passports found, but not the plane's voice recorders? Why did the hijackers need passports they would never use again after their suicide flights? How could Mohammed Atta's passport survive the fireball explosion that supposedly cremated him? Fly out of his pocket, fly out of the incinerated plane, fluttered to the ground into 2 feet of debris, and end up in readable condition in the hands of investigators all within 48 hours. Why did 19 Muslim men even need passports on domestic flights? How were passports found, but not the plane's voice recorders? Why did the hijackers need passports they would never use again after their suicide flights? The suitcase of accused ringleader Mohammed Atta, was never loaded onto the hijacked plane and conveniently fell right into the hands of investigators. It was jam-packed with incriminating evidence, including a Quran, a how to fly a commercial airplane video, and a fuel consumption indicator. Why would a hijacker about to die on a suicide mission pack a suitcase? It seems Mohammed Atta was a very forgetful ringleader who carried around a lot of Quran holy books. He reportedly forgot one Quran and a Florida strip club, another in a rental car, and still another one in his lost suitcase at the airport. More incriminating evidence of flight manuals written in Arabic were found within hours of the attacks in park rental cars at the airports. Why didn't the terrorists take a taxi to the airport? Can they be that smart and that stupid at the same time? The conspicuous trail of planted evidence continued 3 weeks after the 9, divided by 11 attacks, when anthrax letters killed 5 people and were clearly worded to throw the blame on Muslims. Death to America. Death to Israel. Allah is great. It has since been proven that the anthrax came from a U.S. Army lab and was never mailed by Muslims. Were the 19 Muslims accused of the hijacking set up as patsies and framed? If so, who set them up? Right after the attacks, CNN deceptively and repeatedly showed an airport security video of Mohammed Atta. CNN neglected to tell viewers that the video showed Mohammed Atta boarding a plane at Portland, Maine, not the hijacked plane. There are no airport security videos of any of the 19 accused Muslims boarding any of the hijacked planes. George Bush was told about the second plane while he was inside the classroom. So, you just heard him describe seeing the first plane crash on television that day. But that's impossible. No one saw the first plane crash on TV on September the 11th because the videotape of it didn't surface until the next day.